Hello, thank you for joining us today for how to fund your business in today's lending environment with FranNet. My name is Bridget Betzer. I'm your host for today's program. Before we do get started, just a couple of housekeeping items. All of your lines are muted today because we are recording the program. A recording of the webinar will be emailed to you at the conclusion of the event, usually within a couple of hours. If you have questions as we go through the program, I would encourage you to use the question box on your control panel. We usually try to save a few minutes to answer your questions at the end of the program. And so the best way to submit those questions will be through that question box. So again, I want to thank you for joining us for how to fund your business in today's lending environment. I am Bridget Betzer and I'm with FranNet. FranNet is a 30-year-old franchise consultancy firm. We have 100 or so locally based franchise consultants in all major markets of the United States and Canada. And we've got some great national partnerships with groups like SCORE and the SBDC so that we can ensure our clients have the tools that they need as they explore and launch into business ownership. Again, my name is Bridget Betzer. I'm in the West Michigan, Grand Rapids, Michigan area. I grew up in franchising, believe it or not, and joined FranNet about 10 years ago after spending 13 years or so on the franchisor side with a company that started out as Care First Staffing and rebranded as Comfort Care Senior Services. I have a biology degree. It's funny, I always joke around because I wanted nothing to do with business ownership as I went off to college. And it's funny how life kind of comes full circle. And here we are in business again here today. And I'm really excited to be sharing with you today detail on today's lending environment. And we have a guest speaker here with us today, one of FranNet's partners, Benetrends. And Wendy Skimmer with Benetrends is going to talk with us about a variety of different lending options, whether you're launching a business from scratch, buying a franchise, or buying an existing business. A lot of these funding options can apply to any of those business ownership options. And she will talk with you a little bit about the particulars of each one. And again, please be sure as Wendy goes through her program here today to submit your questions in the question box. And we usually find that there's a handful of questions as we do go through the program because we do throw a lot of information at you in a very short amount of time. We're glad you're here with us today. Wendy, let's share some information on funding.
You got it. Thank you so much, Bridget, and thank you everybody for joining me today. I am with Benetrends. Benetrends is a full-service retirement planning company that helps folks not only find funding solutions for their businesses, whether existing, startup, multi-unit, but we also really focus on the long-term goals, creating generational wealth, protecting our wealth, and planning for a nice, bright future through entrepreneurship. We really appreciate our relationship with FranNet, and you couldn't be in better hands with consultants on this journey. So a lot of folks are talking about all the different things that are happening in the world of funding with regards to what's happening with COVID and the economy and the stock market. So today I'm going to go through all the different options. I do go through very quickly. So I do encourage you, if you are interested in learning more, to speak with your FranNet consultant and make sure you get matched up with your sales consultants here at Benetrends. Everybody's situation is unique. Today I'm talking in general terms. It is nice to have that free consultation to get a look at your personal goals. So today, the first thing everybody always wants to talk about when we talk about funding is small business loans and what that loan program is looking like. When it comes to how we help you at Benetrends in looking for a small business loan, we act as a broker. Just like when you're going to buy your home, you go to your mortgage broker first, get a really good idea of what your fundability is. Then when you go shopping with your real estate agent, you know that you're shopping in the correct neighborhoods, you know what you can afford, and you can really have a nice journey in finding home ownership. It's the same exact thing when you're buying a business. You really want to know early on what your fundability is. A lot of times folks will be surprised at using a combination of funding, what they could achieve, but I'm a big fan of finding this out as early as possible. One thing that folks seem to think when it comes to SBA is that the S stands for speed, especially in the Express program, which is for smaller loans. One thing the SBA program does not stand for in today's environment is speed. However, just like when we buy our house, sometimes we just need the mortgage broker to make the mortgage lender, to make it happen. There are times when there's just no avoiding The fact that we do need an SBA loan. And the exciting thing about it is that rates are strong right now. They're lower than they've ever been in the SBA program. And the banks are lending for all types of businesses, all types of genres. A typical SBA loan can go as high as $5 million. It can go as low as $25,000. A lot of those smaller loans, 25, 50,000, you can actually apply right on the government website. So it's quite simple. The larger loans, 58,000 to 5 million, Benetrends can help you. We work with a pool of lenders. We can help you identify that right lender. We can help you through the expectation and communication with that lender. So we definitely add value. A lot of folks will ask me, can I just go to my local bank? There's a Wells Fargo or there's a Chase Bank locally, and I have a relationship there. Is it worth me going to find out what the rates are? Absolutely. I'm more than happy to always share with you. I think we could do better. Our lenders are more competitive, or I'll tell you to go sign on the dotted line. When we're looking at SBA loans, you do hear a lot of times the express loan. Keep in mind, the express loan is not express because of timing. It's an express loan because of the size of the loan. Now, traditionally, before COVID, a relief came to be, 150 and under loan could realistically, for a non-brick and mortar, be funded in 30 to 45 days. So it was somewhat quicker than a typical SBA loan. All those timelines have pretty much doubled. If you're looking at an SBA loan, you really want to get started on that process as early as possible. What are the rates going to be? Today, with prime at 3.25, the most the lender can charge you is 6%. So they can add 2.75 to your rate. Most of our loans are coming in between 5.5% and 6%. The lenders want to see that you have strong personal credit. So what that means in numbers is really 700 or better. If you're hovering 680 to 700, depending on your utilization of your debt and your debt to income ratio, there could be some hope there. But really, if you're targeting for an SBA loan, you want to try and get that credit score 700 or better. You need to have the ability to put some skin in the game if you are going for an SBA loan. The lender on a typical startup will want 20% down. Some genres, they might ask for 30. And some of the smaller loans, I can sometimes get between 11 and 15. So it really depends on the specifics of your financials. If you're looking at a loan greater than 150, we want to position you that you know you have to be in a position to have personal collateral. If you're in a homestead state, we need to talk about maybe the lender will accept money in a CD. If you're not in a homestead state, but you don't want to use your primary real estate, we need to come up with a plan to satisfy the lender. One of the benefits of working with Benetrends, as opposed to just going to the lender, is preparing for those kind of conversations. You will need, no matter what, for an SBA loan, a written business plan and a resume. Benetrends does not do your business plan. However, we make sure it is in the right format. We review it with you. A lot of folks will ask our opinion on projections. We'll help you with the tools that we have, but we don't write that business plan for you. We do have folks that'll do it for you in a separate company and a separate fee if that's something you're interested in. I know sometimes it's about time and you just don't have the time to get it done. One of the most successful paths to funding is combining different funding programs. So a lot of times I'll have a client that's using retirement funds without tax or penalty in our rollover program that we'll be discussing shortly to help them satisfy that 20 to 30% and get a loan. Because what happens is, one of the things I was talking to Bridget with before this conference today, or this call today, is the lenders are consistently having the same message right now. After my client puts down 20 to 30%, the lender wants to see that you have sufficient post-closing liquidity. And that just means when they close the loan, they want to see that you have not depleted all of your liquidity to satisfy the 20 to 30% down. I have at least a dozen deals from various sizes that I'm dealing with right now in helping that client get the liquidity they need to satisfy the lender. And it's usually going to be between $40,000 and $50,000 that they want to see in that bank account after you put down your money. And a lot of us don't have that sitting in liquidity. Creative ways to satisfy that is to use the rollover. Some folks have it in securities invested. We can show you a way where you could borrow against it. So we'll help you strategize, but you do want to keep in mind that the bank is looking at that post-closing liquidity on a consistent basis, regardless of what size the loan is. A lot of folks early on just want to see what they pre-qualify for without taking a hit to their credit, without putting any skin in the game. We definitely provide you that opportunity. We go through a free, no obligation pre-qualification. We do not run your credit. I have you run it for me. We want to keep that credit nice and strong because the lender's going to run it in the 11th hour. What we do here at Benetrends, once you have that free pre-qualification, if you're interested in moving forward, we do have a consulting fee, 100% refundable if you are not able to achieve getting the loan that was discussed, which I think is a phenomenal benefit of working with Benetrends. So you can see here, there's many steps to getting that loan closed, and that timeline, depending on if you're brick and mortar or non-brick and mortar in today's environment, could take 3 to 5 months. I have somebody right now, we're hitting 6 months brick and mortar. So you really want to be proactive in getting these loan packages together as early in the process as possible. Benetrends will help you plan for that post-closing liquidity that I mentioned, the timing of the franchise sales process and the SBA approval. Boy, your FranNet consultant can share with you, this comes up all the time. Do I sign the franchise agreement? I haven't yet gotten a commitment from the lender, but I don't want to lose my territory. Can I put down my franchise fee and hold that territory before I have a commitment letter? All of those questions and navigating through those big decisions, Benetrends will hold your hand and partner with you to make sure at all times we're keeping you safe and protecting your skin in the game. If there's real estate involved, there's a whole nother set of timelines, and Benetrends will help you with that as well. We work really closely with our franchisees and making sure, again, that you're not putting any money at risk, any down payments or anything that is non-refundable. That business plan I mentioned, we do give you a template, so no need to be intimidated by that. It's really helpful. Leaving your job if you're unemployed. Now, I know a lot of you are meeting your FranNet consultants in the process of leaving your corporate jobs. Can I get you a loan if you're unemployed? Absolutely. All those other factors that we talked about, credit, post-closing liquidity, believe it or not, the brand that you choose in the genre, all of those things are going to impact the ability to get you a loan. Being employed is just one factor. So there's a lot of other factors. I'm getting loans for folks who are leaving their job. Communication and expectation. Boy, I'm going through a refinance right now and I'm counting the days since I had my last update. Benetrends realizes that you're anxious to get those updates. I know the bank might be sitting on that loan package and to them, there's nothing to say, but I want to know that. So I'm going to be hitting your lending team over at the bank and making sure that those communications and expectations that you deserve and need, that we're making sure that that happens for you. Okay, this is when folks say I tend to sound a little more excited. I sit up a little taller. When it comes to SBA, you know, we can help you get it done. There's no question there. SBA lenders are lending money. The government's backing the loan. The program is solid. I know a lot of folks think, oh, it's getting towards their fiscal year end. Are they going to run out of money? There is no word of that right now. There's plenty of banks lending money. I have loans varying from $50,000 to $4.6 million in the works as we speak. But one of the more exciting programs we have here at Benetrends is the rollover for business startups. So if you have retirement funds that are not tied to current employment, boy, this is a great option for you. One of the most popular funding options, even though you might not have heard about it before, I guarantee you now that you've heard about it, you will be out and about and you will speak to a business owner that utilized retirement funds to either solely buy their business or to help them achieve business ownership in some capacity. It was created in 1983 by Len Fisher, the owner of Benetrends, and it's an amazing program, a really smart way to fund your business. And before I go to the next slide, I just want to mention, often, it's probably not a day goes by where I don't get a call with a client where the client says, I want to use other people's money. And I always say, me too. Fill me in. Where's other people's money? And so they tend to say, well, I want to get a loan because I want to use the bank's money. So I always ask the same question. Who's paying back the lender? If it's not somebody else, then it's your money. So I always want to highlight, if you really want to use somebody else's money, boy, then the rollover is perfect for you. Because if you're sitting on a 401k from a previous employer, if you're under 59 and a half, you want to touch that money, you're going to pay penalties on it. But no matter what, you're going to have to pay taxes on it, no matter how old we are, right? When we touch that money, we have a taxable event. What if you could use that money that the government technically owns to grow your business? That's using other people's money. And I like to highlight that because that is a phrase that I hear almost as often as cash is king. And the two of them will really point you to why you would want to use a rollover. So here's an example. Let's assume you just left your big corporate job by choice, because that's a better story, and you have $200,000 in your 401k. And you're thinking, boy, I could use that and start a business or help me get a small business loan. But I'm 50 and I'm going to pay 10% penalty. And I just left my corporate job. My tax rate's pretty high. So boy, if I want to touch that money, I'm going to end up with approximately $120,000. I just walked away from $80,000. All of a sudden, I'm not so excited. Then I finally speak with my consultant at Benetrends and I realize how I can use the full $200,000. So imagine you left your job, you take that $200,000 from your 401k and you roll it into a new 401k. So let's just say you left your job. I used to work for Corporate Gap International. Took my 401k when I left the Gap and I went to Electronic Arts. If you're a gamer, that's a big deal to work for a high-tech company. So I was so excited to take my old 401k, roll it tax-deferred, penalty-free into my new Electronic Arts 401k. It was in the 90s, not to age myself, but just saying. And I was so excited to be part of a high-tech company. I wanted Electronic Arts stock in my portfolio. So I got in a cash position in a lot of my investments and I bought Electronic Arts stock. Most of us have done that. We've moved our retirement funds from one company to another, and then we bought stock in our company. What this program that we do here at Benetrends allows you to do is that same exact concept, except when you buy the stock in the company is your company. It's your franchise. So real quick, I'll go through the steps in how to make that happen. Let's say you're buying ABC franchise. We set up your corporation. Okay, we create your C corporation. We do it for you here at Benetrends, all the fun stuff, your bylaws, your articles, your EIN number. So you're a legitimate C corporation. And then we're going to customize a qualified retirement plan for your company to sponsor. So just like when I went to Electronic Arts, they had a 401k I was eligible for. Same exact thing here. Now what you can do is now you're an employee of your new company. You're doing business as the franchise that you bought through your FranNet consultant, and you now roll your old 401k into your new plan. And in case you're thinking, I don't need all of the money, that's fine. You don't have to roll it all in. So in our previous example, let's say you rolled in the 200,000, you're going to turn around and get in a cash position and you're going to buy $200,000 worth of stock in your company. So just like when I moved over to Electronic Arts, I bought stock in Electronic Arts. Electronic Arts got my money. Here, when you buy the stock in your company, you get the money. A lot of us don't realize that. So now in your corporate bank account, if you did a Rob's and you rolled over $200,000, you now have $200,000 available to you in its entirety in your corporate bank account. You can pay your franchise fee. You can pay yourself back all the out-of-pocket expenses you had, discovery day, franchise disclosure document review with your attorney. If you did the rollover, Benetrends fee. So you'll be able to utilize those funds for all of your business needs. Now, if you're looking at a small business loan, let's say you're looking at a project that's $500,000, you could turn around and use this rollover money for your 20% down. Now, all of a sudden, you don't have to worry about taking your cash liquidity, so you can satisfy that for the lender. One thing that is obvious, of course, is using other people's money. As I mentioned early on, this is your ability to utilize those dollars that you owe the government. Also, to be able to start your company in a position of having equity is always positive. We know as we look at our mortgage statements, the more equity we have in our house, the better. The better it feels, the more leverage we have. Same thing with the business. And you can use these funds. This question comes up quite often. You can use these funds to pay yourself a salary. Nobody is expected to work for free. If you chose to wait until you were profitable or you were over the ramp up period, that is permissible, but know that you can use those funds for any business needs. One thing that's really nice also, a lot of folks want to buy multi-unit, multi-territory. Maybe you only need 200,000 now, but you have some additional money in your old IRA, your old 401k from a previous employer before that. Know that down the road, if you ever want to roll over more money, you're always in a position that you can do so. It's a wonderful program. What plans qualify for if you're looking to see what kind of retirement plans you have? It's much easier to think of what doesn't qualify. If you have a Roth IRA or an inherited IRA from somebody other than a spouse, they are not eligible. If you have a Roth 401k, it is. Most employer plans, while you're still contributing, 8% of them will not allow you to utilize those retirement funds until you terminate that relationship. Depending on how old you are and what provisions are in the plan, there are some times where there is the ability to roll over some of that money, and we can discuss that on our one-on-one consultation. Rollovers with an SBA loan. I think I do mention this ad nauseum, but it is really the key to success in so many situations. It helps with that post-closing liquidity, but it also helps you. Maybe you don't want a loan for 150,000 or whatever it is. Maybe you feel more comfortable only servicing debt for 75,000 or 100,000. You could roll over more money and make that combination still work. Moving on, because I know I want to be cognizant of time. One thing that you want to keep in mind, if you are looking at brick and mortar, a lot of folks don't realize most SBA lenders are going to want you to do one at a time. So when you're trying to plan for multi-unit ownership or multi-territory, the lender will do. But multi-unit, if it's brick and mortar, they're going to want one at a time. So the combination of rollover funds and an SBA loan can certainly help you achieve that goal. And I always want to highlight that because we love multi-unit and multi-territory. So other ways folks are funding their business, or ways in conjunction with either the SBA or rollover, folks are also doing portfolio loans. This is becoming really popular. One, it's not considered borrowed funds, but a portfolio loan is for somebody who has an investment portfolio of about $100,000 or more. Let's say it's sitting at Charles Schwab or it's sitting at Chase. Usually where it is, you can borrow against it. And a lot of us don't realize that you have that ability. The rates are below 4%. I heard recently Chase was charging below 2%. It's nice that you can borrow against that money. It's just like a home equity line of credit, except instead of your home, it's your portfolio. You still own the instrument, you still receive dividends. It's definitely a great way to fund your business in conjunction with other programs as well. Lastly, a participation loan. A lot of us have done this in the past. So if you're currently still working, you're not leaving and you're participating in your 401k, you can borrow in most 401ks 50% up to $50,000. You pay yourself back. It's typically a 5-year term. Interest rates are hovering between the high 3s and low 4s. It's a genius way to help you fund your business. But you do cap out at 50,000. Keep in mind, sometimes you can use that towards your SBA cash injection. You need to have that money seasoned in your bank account. But one thing worth mentioning, a lot of folks are leaving their jobs, whether it's to a choice of their own or not. And if you do the rollover program with us, you will always have the ability to also have access to a participation loan. So in that example of my client who rolled over 200,000, if they rolled over 250, they could still use 200 to buy the stock in their company, but they could borrow that other 50,000. It's a great way to help you bridge that gap. Lastly, I can't help you with it, but I'd be remiss not to mention it. With the rates as they are with home equity right now, a lot of folks are refinancing and doing home equity lines of credit to supplement funding their business, or to do instead of doing an SBA loan, to use that for their debt instead, with a combination maybe with a rollover. So definitely something you should be thinking about. With that, I'm going to pass it over to Bridget. I do go through everything quickly, so I sure hope you take the time to set up a free consultation at your leisure. Thank you so much, Bridget.
Oh gosh, thank you, Wendy. Lots of great information. And like I said, in a very short amount of time. And this would be a great time if you have questions as you listened to today's program, please do submit them in the question box now. Now, before we do get to questions, just a couple of next steps for you. If you haven't met your local FranNet consultant yet, I would encourage you to do so. Your local FranNet consultant is a wealth of information on local markets, business ownership options, specifically in franchising. We also have an entrepreneurial readiness assessment tool that your FranNet consultant can assist you with. This tool will help you to identify if you're ready for business ownership and what business ownership direction may be the best approach for you. You can identify both your FranNet consultant and the assessment link on our website at frannet.com, or you can scan the QR code on your screen now to get you to our website and those buttons for the FranNet consultant and the readiness assessment. Your FranNet consultant receives the readiness assessment results confidentially and schedules time with you to review them over the phone so that you know what those results look like and they can assist you from there. Let me go back to Wendy's contact information here on the screen. If you do have additional questions for Wendy at the conclusion of this program, you can reach her direct at the number on the screen or through her email address. Otherwise, again, your FranNet consultant can assist you with basic questions and connections to other representatives at Benetrends that may be able to best assist you. So we're going to go ahead and take a couple of questions now. And let's see here. The best way to submit a question is not necessarily to raise your hand, but to use the question box on your screen. So in the control panel, there is a section for questions. You can submit your question there because we are going to keep all lines muted. I currently don't see any questions in the question box. So if you do have a question, please submit it there. And as we're waiting for questions to come in here and we wrap up our program here today, I will mention some of the feedback that I get from my clients that have worked with Wendy and Benetrends. They love the fact that there are a variety of different options. I will tell you that every situation is unique and there's a different funding strategy for each individual situation. And so, I will, that's again, one of the things that my clients love about Benetrends and that you've heard today is that there's a variety of different options, and Benetrends will work with you to review your portfolio, your current financial status, the concepts, business investments you're looking at, and put together a strategy and a plan, not just short-term for funding, but long-term. So we did have a question come in, and yes, for those of you that logged on late, our program is being recorded today. There will be a link to view the recording emailed off to you within a couple of hours of the conclusion of the program. Another question that came in is the rollover option, Wendy, similar to a self-directed IRA?
Great question. They get confused with each other quite often. A self-directed IRA is for a passive investment. You cannot be involved in the business in which you're investing in. A lot of times self-directed providers will send their client to Benetrends because the client does want to be involved in that business. And as soon as you become actively involved in that business, there becomes a need for the ROBs over the rollover for business startup over a self-directed IRA.
Great, thank you. Those are all the questions that I've seen submitted today. Quiet group, we usually get a few more questions than that, but we want to thank you for attending today. And if you come up with a question after our program concludes, again, please reach out to your FranNet consultant, visit frannet.com, or you can reach out to Wendy directly, visit their website at benetrends.com. Wendy, thank you. You're always a wealth of information. We really do appreciate you covering the funding options available and the ins and outs and the intricacies associated with them with us here today.
Thank you, Bridget. It's my pleasure.
Have a great day, everybody. Take care.
Bye-bye now.